Greetings, Gary here. Today we're going to go over the basics of flashing Marlin firmware to a 3D printer control board. And today we're going to be looking at the 3DP08, which is a Higtop RepRap clone.
First thing you want to do is find the appropriate firmware for your printer. What I basically do is I Google Marlin and the printer's model number. Usually the results you get, the thing you're looking for is going to be in the top 1 or 2 results. Then you go to that site, find the files you're looking for. In this case it's on Thingiverse, and we have a picture of my logic board so I can validate that this looks exactly like the logic board on my printer. Then I download the files. They're usually not very large. Basically, once you get the files downloaded, you want to go through the contents. You're looking for a specific set of files. You'll get a lot of garbage sometimes, nested zip files and whatnot. You're basically looking for the .cpp files, you're looking for the .ino files, and basically the things that make up the source code for the Marlin firmware. Basically open the archive. We have the zip file. Then we have in the files another zip file. So I open that zip file, and then here's my files. So now I'm going to extract those to my server. The next thing you need is the Arduino IDE. So at this point you would go to just Google Arduino IDE. It's going to take you to their website. Download the Arduino editor for your platform. When running Windows, so I'll grab the Windows IDE. I'll spare you all this. Basically, I'm just going to download the file and install it. I already have it, so I'm going to skip to the part where we actually open the files and get to busy doing the thing. So now I'm going to open the files on my server, and I'm looking for the file called marlin.ino. Once you locate that file, double click it, and it will open the IDE with all these files. Now that we have the IDE open, there's a lot of stuff in here. There's 8.h files and whatnot. These are configuration files for the firmware in their source form. If you want to make any changes, configuration.h is the first place to go. Chances are this firmware is already going to be tweaked for your printer and you don't really need to change anything. But you can change like the printer name. If you want to change what shows up on the LCD panel, you can make a change to this variable and you will get a different display. But there's also changes in here for auto bed leveling, for the extents of your board, when heat thresholds are hit. There's a lot of settings. Bottom line is that just to get going on Marlin, if you've downloaded the appropriate firmware for your board, you should not have to do anything other than verify it, compile it, and push it to the board. So the next step is going to be to connect the printer. So we take the USB cable from our logic board and we're going to connect it to the computer. So now once we're connected, we want to make sure that it's communicating. So in the upper right hand corner we have the serial monitor, and if you click on that, well, first of all, we need the COM port. So you go to the COM port setting, and once that USB cable is connected, it's going to show up as a COM port. It's basically serial over USB. You want to make sure that COM port is selected, and then click the serial monitor. You should see text, clear, plain text. If there's garbage in here, that means you don't have the appropriate baud rate to your logic board. So there's a pull down in the lower right hand corner where we can change that baud rate. It will default to 9600, which is probably going to give you garbage. If you change that to 115-200, you will see that it corrects and that you'll be able to see the text clearly. Once it's clear, you know that your board is communicating with Arduino successfully. Next phase is to verify our firmware. So you hit the checkbox in the upper left hand corner, and what this does is it makes it go through all the code to make sure that it's acceptable before it tries to push it to the Arduino chip. I'm getting an error, and that's because I have not selected the board. So in the Tools menu, you hit Tools, and you select the board, and it's giving you a hint on what it needs to be. So you basically come down here and find the Arduino Mega ADK, and that's going to match the firmware that I'm trying to compile. So now when I re-verify, it's going to go through the code and everything should be green. The checkbox will go back to green, there will be no error messages. It takes a minute because there's a lot of files in this thing. So after that bar finishes crawling all the way across there, you will have a successfully verified firmware. You must do this before you can move on to the next phase. So we'll wait for this to finish. Okay, we're green now, so got no error messages, we have a green checkbox. The next phase is to hit the next button. What this will do is initiate compilation and upload. So your USB cable is connected, so now it's going to compile the software and make it into a form that your logic board can accept. And then when this is done, it's going to open that connection to your logic board and it will upload this firmware. Here's my logic board. You can see that the light is just static. And once the upload starts, you'll see it kick in. There it goes. And we have traffic going to the logic board. So basically it's writing these binary files to the logic board and rewriting its boot code. And when it's complete, the traffic light will stop flickering and the active light will go off. And we're done. So basically we're finished at this point. It's really straightforward. It's a matter of just making sure you have the right software for your printer. Making any changes you do want to make to the firmware, make those carefully, verify them, and then upload them to your printer. It's pretty straightforward. Just double check the serial console to make sure that everything looks good, and check the LCD panel on your printer. Thanks for watching.